All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is 6 o'clock, and I am opening the August 3rd, good Lord, it's August 2021, meeting of the Rutland Conservation Commission. Let me share this. Share, go.
That's
Of
pretty.
course I put it, isn't it?
It looks like wetlands to me.
That's called the ocean. That is an Easton's Beach in Newport, Rhode Island.
It's just down there.
I don't want to hear it. My wife really doesn't want to hear it. Becca, in the next room, doesn't want to hear it. Okay, meeting minutes. I even read these in advance.
Wow.
Motion to accept as written.
Second.
We'll see who Tamika puts down.
Surprise.
Okay, roll
Want a
call.
thumb more?
Delacour, aye.
Langer, aye.
Gentilucci, aye.
Danza, aye.
Clock eye.
Crane eye. By the way, I didn't announce this at the beginning, like I should have. We are present on Zoom, as you can tell. We are being broadcast over channel 192 and recorded, and we're being streamed live to the internet. And it'll show up on YouTube eventually for those who are interested. There, I remembered. First thing is our certificate of compliance request for 4 Richards Ave, which happens to be right here. Actually, the next, these are the original orders from, if I remember correctly, 1997.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't asked what brought about the request to get this finally done, but
House sold.
They're
It
selling.
already
Oh, they're
sold.
selling it?
It already
Okay.
sold, already did.
Closed last week.
It's
Closed and gone.
It's getting caught up.
okay,
What's
they're finally
happening.
catching up. Okay. So, as usual with these that are so old, that we're not going to do anything other than just, I'm going to submit approve, give it a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Delacour, aye.
Langer, aye.
Gentilucci, aye.
Danza, aye.
Clock eye.
Crane eye.
Sorry, my brain couldn't catch up.
That's okay.
You were looking at me like you were waiting for it.
I'm waiting for something, come on.
So thank you, Joe.
Okay, it is time to open a public hearing for the notice of intent for our talk lot at 138 Kenwood Drive, aka Lot 9. Oh, just a minute, somebody else is joining. Come on. But I do not see.
Glenn is on the call.
Oh, Glenn, that's Glenn. Glenn, hi. Good to see you again.
Uh-oh.
I know he's here. I can see him.
Can we hear him?
Plugged in?
He is muted. Oh, Glenn. There you go.
Are we now hearing me?
There we go. Yes.
Thank you. I unmuted twice. It's a redundant computer.
Ain't they all?
So, yes, thank you very much, Commissioner, if you're ready to hear me.
Yes, please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you for the site inspection we had Saturday and walked over the hill and looked at the wetland edge where we have a buffer zone encroaching into the work site by 18 feet. As we're looking at that 18-feet buffer zone right
That's
there.
what encroaches right there.
No, actually a little bit more to the right. That buffer zone line just cuts through the outflow right there. That's it.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
the buffer
right. I
zone.
see the line now.
Very small wetland buffer zone encroachment. We went to the bottom of the hill. We crossed over the farmer's old stone wall and we looked at upper vegetation, upgrading the wall. There we are, the lower wetland system. Thank you. Mr. Rob McNeil, I had correspondence with him today. I sent you a copy of the plan, 2 copies of the plan without the stamp, and I said, can you confirm that you put in the mail the stamped copy of the wetland plan readable? You confirmed that it is in the mail to you.
Tamika, did we receive the paper yet?
Not as of today.
Okay.
Oh, the revised electronic, but not in the mail.
Not in the mail.
Today.
Right.
But we sent 2, when I received them, I put them in the mail Saturday, right after I saw you people, I did have them and I put them in the mail, and you should have them any day. If you need the stamp plan, and again, Mr. McNeil confirmed that he did send them from the island, whatever, with a stamp on it so that you would have it in your file confirming that he performed the work and stamped it as an engineer for the wetland line. So yes, the lower wetland we're looking at is the one that encroaches into the work site by 18 feet. We did talk about soils at the bottom of the hill. We talked about vegetation. I believe we covered those points.
Mhm.
I'm not going to speak for the commission, but or the two members there, but they might have agreed on the wetland line.
Yeah, I would say that we agreed with that line.
Look good to me.
Okay, well, that's the crux of the project. Buffer zone grading 18 feet into the buffer zone. The rest of the work is outside and has gone through DCR. We did support, supplement our notice of intent with that documentation also.
Okay, so I want to ask the commission, when we're done with our discussions, because we don't have the paper with the stamp, I leave it up to the commission if we want to continue this hearing for one meeting until we actually have possession of the paper, or if the electronic copies are sufficient.
We could also condition it, right?
Oh, that's true,
To
yeah.
just provide the stamp plan
We can do
as
that
part of
too.
the conditions.
We have lots of plans.
I'd be able to.
Lots of
I don't
options.
even know if you gotta do that. I mean, I'll be
I
honest
would.
with you, with Rob McNeil, his reputation is impeccable. I would,
Oh
I
no,
would
it's
accept
not,
it.
it's not that I doubt his abilities, his trustworthiness. It's just a formality of having the
Yeah.
physical paper.
Dot the
That's-
i's and cross the t's.
Yeah, exactly. It's just making
I
sure
think
we
the-
cross everything.
I would be satisfied with the electronic copy.
Yeah.
This juncture.
Through the chairman,
Yes,
the plan, the second plan, the initial plan, showing the septic work and the house, not this larger plan which shows the
It's still
wetlands
the
below.
same.
The other plan is stamped and it does show the buffer zone edge. That is a
well,
stamped plan.
that's a very good point.
So we
it's just-
do have a stamped plan there, it's just that the wetland plan, way
The
that
flags
he
themselves
stamped it
aren't
and then
stamped.
scanned it, then sent it, it was unreadable, and that's why we sent it back and said, you have to stamp it, then put it in the mail and send it to us, if that's the only way that you will put a stamp on that plan. And that's why, we had a problem with that readable delineation plan.
Right.
That included this work, but this work plan is stamped.
Right. So I don't want to hold this up right now. We'll have that discussion at the very end.
Yep.
I'd prefer right now to get through the meat of the meeting,
Mm-hmm.
or the hearing, I should say.
And I will add they'll have a DEP number with no comments.
They've been very quiet lately. Too quiet.
Don't jinx it.
No.
I don't think we did.
Okay, so does the commission have questions or comments on the plan? Jared, why don't you do the review of our walk, please?
Sure. So we parked in the open field, which I don't know. It's kind of hard to see here where the tree line is. Most of the work is in the open field, so most of it's well beyond our jurisdiction. We walked with Glenn, Peter, and I down into the woods, down to Glenn mentioned there's a stone wall that's about at the edge of the wetlands, and walked there, took a look. Glenn went through all the vegetation that we found down there, what was upland, what was wetland indicator species, did a couple of very shallow, I was gonna say borings, but not really borings, but soil samples, and checked those as well. To me, the wetland flags look pretty accurate.
They look-
Everything looked pretty good to me. And again, there's not a lot of work in the buffer zone. And it's probably worth pointing out on this plan, they're actually showing an erosion control barrier outside of the buffer zone, which I think is great. I certainly appreciate that. I was gonna say my only comment on the plan, I think it notes the erosion control barrier as just a staked straw wattle, which is good. I would recommend we also add a silt fence to that, just based on the amount of grading that will be happening in that area. I think that would be good to just provide that protection, but
Thank you.
there's not a lot of work in the buffer zone, so most of it is far uphill of that.
Mm-hmm. Anything else from the commission?
Can I just ask, is the closest point to the wetland 18 feet?
No, it's 18
It'd
feet
be, it would
in,
be
so
about
82.
82 feet.
Oh, 82 feet.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Questions or comments from the public? Yes, sir. Name and address, please.
Want me to stand up?
If you like, but you don't need to.
My name's Gary Limatainen. I live at 3 Kenwood Court. I'm a butter of the property.
Where are you with respect, so this is on this property, where are you with respect to this property?
We're
Just a place
Off
here.
on the left-hand side
You're
there, I
off
think
this
it's
way.
off screen
Okay.
there. But my property, I own an 80-acre farm,
Mm-hmm.
and been there 104 years on my family. I haven't, but anyway.
I'd say that's impressive.
But anyway, I'm well versed with the property, obviously, and it's been an extension of our farm in the past few years because it's been abandoned. Mrs. Tackler died about 20 years ago, so
Mhm.
we've been kind of caretakering a little bit around the area. But anyway, I'm just asking my question to the board. That 15-acre site, that's a pretty good piece of parcel, lot 9. What, down the road, can that site support any more than one buildable lot, or do you think?
Let me start off by saying, we're conservation, not planning, so I
Yes,
can't
I
give you a
understand.
definitive answer.
Yeah, I didn't know if the tributary there, because that's a tributary to the Quabbin Reservoir. I didn't know if, if 15 acres, that individual or a developer would come in and subdivide that land, maybe into 3
See,
buildable lots.
Oh,
That's my question.
I see.
I hate to see that happen if that's the case.
The fast answer is, with my understanding, it could be further subdivided, because the shape, if they're coming in from one point on Glenwood, and then it wraps around these lots 7 and 8, and rejoins Kenwood, so there is frontage for more houses.
Yeah.
How much? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
But do you think with that tributary there, do you think with the wetlands there, do you think it would support 2 additional buildable lots?
Is that watershed?
I have to the chairman, if I could state one thing.
yeah, go ahead, Glenn.
Glenn Kowalski, that 200-foot riverfront area is a hindrance on this lot. Can't encroach into that 200. That's gonna cut quite a bit of acreage off, off the 15 feet, 15 acres. That's all I can say about that. And that's why our work is outside this.
I would admit I'm a little lost because I can't see street markings.
But you can on the initial plan see the 200-foot buffer on our plan.
Well, you can see it there, but I'm
Primary
not.
protections, it's called the primary protection zone of Watershed Protection Act.
Right, so where, I mean, just based on the overall shape of the 15 acres, I don't know exactly how the brook cuts through it.
We do have an overall plan, it's in front of me, that I can share with the commission. It was done in May of '08. It shows, I'm looking at an exercise right now, my pleasure to forward it to the commission. But it shows that the majority of this 15 acres is within 200 feet of the river. And that would be why
Oh,
when I
is that map
proposing.
a zone A map?
Zone A. Yep.
Yeah, it should show up.
I was gonna say, can you share that?
I only have it in hard copy. It happens to be in the file. I've actually been on this property
you're not on
since
Zoom.
'08.
Can you?
Let me
So
see.
Actually, you know what, maybe if
might be able to.
if I bring it up on Oliver instead of,
Yeah, that's where I brought it up.
And then we run into the issue of having a roadway over 500 feet long coming in. That's another hindrance on zoning.
Yeah, again, I don't know everything, I mean, but let's just take a fast look. Come on. 56, so we're down here. That can't be it.
Yeah, right.
Right, just to the right of where your cursor was. Yep.
Right there.
Just left just a little bit, Peter. Right there.
Right there.
That's it. You can actually see the stream.
Yeah, so you can actually see the stream here. Okay, so that stream does complicate development. It's probably 15 acres, because I doubt they could do anything else with it.
Okay.
That is my best guess. Now, let
Yeah.
me add, can't do it easily. I never like to say you can't, because there's usually a way to get through the process. It's just a lot more time and a fair amount more money. And then also DCR and the Army Corps of Engineers gets involved. So again, it's not impossible. But with the wetlands the way they are today, it feels like it's not likely that they would subdivide this lot further.
If I could also go through the chairman again.
Yes, please.
The other issue is, I believe that if this thing could have been divided and received more lots out of it,
It would have.
Ralph would.
They would have before they put in the original this A&R.
He would be selling something with, if there was a potential to gain more money, no offense.
That's a
I
strong
I take it.
argument.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I work for builders and the people that own property, and most of the time they're not being good guys to just leave 15 acres.
Right.
It's because of hindrance, and McNeil knows the game. We've been working together, Rob, when he was, I believe I told some of them that we've been working with Rob since probably '04, then he was private, and then he went public, and Spencer, and then he went public in Millbury, and then he finally moved over to public in Nantucket. But we worked probably 8-9 years doing these kind of things, and I worked with Rob on this project, as I said, previous to '08. And I don't believe he would have left
Yeah.
open land that couldn't have been built on that. And again, reiterating what.
Okay. So I can't promise they can't.
Yeah.
I can't promise they won't, but
Okay,
it's a lot.
there is
It's a much lot.
possibility, yeah.
There's a bigger hurdle they would need to cross
Yeah,
to further subdivide.
Plus,
this
it's
land.
pretty steep in the back, the contour, and
Mhm.
it drops off pretty rapidly too, so.
I was gonna say, I think one thing we could say from a wetlands perspective, it looks like that stream is perennial. So that would mean you have 200-foot riverfront on both sides of it. It's much harder to do work in riverfront area, especially a green site like this.
Yeah.
To do work in riverfront, it's very difficult.
Yeah,
To get through and to meet the requirements of the Wetlands Protection Act and regulations, it would be extremely difficult
Okay.
on a site like this. Plus, DCR would be reviewing it. It would be
Yeah.
a permitting hurdle for sure.
I mean, hopefully one individual will buy this and keep it as intact. That's
Mhm.
what my hope is, because it is nice property there.
Sure.
And,
You know?
I just hate to see it divided anymore than what it already is, so. but,
Okay.
All right, thank you, Rob. So,
All right. Other questions or comments from the public? I will bring it back to the board. Anything else we want to discuss? Anything else we want to ask? Is there any reason not to close this hearing?
I'll make a
Hearing none.
motion to close.
Second,
Roll call.
Delacour, aye.
Langer and I.
Gentilucci, aye.
Jan's eye.
Hawkeye.
Crane eye. So what are the special conditions we'd like to put on this in the orders?
I'd say include the silt fence along with the noted straw walls. They already have that, but add the silt fence in. Going back to the question about the stamp plan, the design plan is stamped by Mr. McNeil. So
True.
it's just the other
The,
plan
o-
with
the
the
only thing
wetland
that
flags,
the only thing that isn't stamped is the location of the flags.
flags, but that's something that Glenn verified and we reviewed it in the
And we
field,
reviewed it, so I'm not.
I'm fine with everything as
Okay.
is.
Japanese knotweed.
Was there any there?
There is some near the road.
Best practices. I don't know what else to say. I
Yep.
don't know.
We did talk about that a little bit. Glenn, did you want to just go over your recommendations for Japanese knotweed and how to control it? He's still on?
He's there, but he's muted.
Okay. We did talk about that,
Okay.
and
It's
he had some ideas.
mow it and starve it.
Yeah,
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 that's all you can do.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he said that's the best time.
They say if you wait 10 years, it'll go away.
10 years.
10
Oh
years.
yeah, awesome. And
Patience.
how much does it spread in 10 years?
Patience is a virtue.
Yeah.
Peter. Okay.
Just a minute, I need to let somebody else in. Okay. Anything else? Any other conditions? Then I think we can, motion to approve the order, right?
I don't have another condition.
Glenn Kowalski, I'm sorry I was muted and I couldn't get back, so I phone called in, and I did notice that you asked a question about knotweed.
Yes.
As I said at the meeting, at the site inspection, the one way we remove knotweed, and I'm hoping I'm not reverberating back because I am on the computer, but I can't get the thing to unmute on the computer, so I'm on the phone. I'll walk into the other room. But what I will say is that even in Concord, they asked me, and I'll be working there over the weekend on exotic invasive removal. Luckily, we're next to Concord, the prison, and it's an open area, part of a parking area for a parkland. And what I recommend to even Webster recently on French River Park is if it's an area that you can mow, then you mow it to death. Unless you're trying to use poison, and I did recommend also that maybe you contact George Batchelor of DOT in Boston. And if you will, I'll send you that phone number also. He's an environmental DOT. He might have a chemical that they use on highways, but I'm not familiar with it. And I did note that it was successful, at least on a 12 and 20 emerald construction spread in loam. But my own method, if you want to take couple years, year and a half to do it, is you make the area into a lawn or part of your lawn, and I call it mow it to death. If you mow Japanese knotweed, it will eventually die. Unlike a grass, which has a meristematic growing tip down at the lit dirt level, and so you never kill that growing tip. If you mow knotweed, its root will constantly try to push a new sprout up, but eventually, without having any chlorophyll, which then produces starches and sugars, you will kill a knotweed. That's 100%, but it can take, and I'll put on the outside 2 years. You will diminish it after 1, but I've used Roundup and Ground Clear, and I've weakened it and deformed it, but then it would come back. So my recommendation, if anybody wants to get rid of it, turn it into a lawn and mow it once a week like a lawn, and you will kill it.
Tamika, you have the words that we put in the other ones recently on
Yes.
Kenwood. We'll
Yep,
just,
I can copy paste that.
okay. All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Well, I just thought of something kind of
Yes.
related but unrelated, just with respect to the question from before. So, do we know this is lot 9? Is this an estate lot? Was it?
I can't begin to guess. I don't.
Yeah, I was
don't
just
remember
just
finding that
curious.
well.
That would actually, if it were, I don't know if it was, but if it did go through as an estate lot, then you could not further develop it. I believe it's not the bylaw.
Divided anymore.
True.
Yeah.
Correct.
I don't know if it is, but just thought I'd throw that out there.
Nothing's come before planning
Okay.
recently.
Yeah.
There wouldn't have
If they
been,
did, it would have been a long time
yeah,
ago.
there wouldn't have been any reason to put it through as an estate lot.
It doesn't have frontage.
Well, 50-foot minimum frontage, I know in most of my estate lots, and this is a little bit wider than that access, but we're doing them in Ocam and some other towns, so I can't say I'm privy to the planning board process.
50 foot.
All right. Take a motion to approve,
Issue.
to issue the orders of conditions.
With the
I'll make the motion.
With our,
two,
yeah,
two,
we're,
two, thank you.
with our 2 special conditions.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
There we go, that's what I'm looking for. Roll call.
Delco, aye.
Wanger, aye.
Gentilucci, aye.
Danza, aye.
Clock eye.
Crane eye. Excellent. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you, and thank you for being in front of you again. It's been quite a few years. Have a good, the rest of the summer. Thank you.
Thank you, you too.
Bye-bye.
That goes here, that one goes here. So now it's time to, oh, I remember seeing this in the building permit land. This is the oldest one that's outstanding in the list of Conservation Commission approvals. I'm opening a hearing for notice of intent for 10 Woodside Ave. Julian, I see you're online.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great, thanks. How about yourself?
Good.
Please, tell us all about it.
Okay, this is phase 3 on Bryce Estates, the new road that they got the base coat last fall. They're working up at the top of the hill. We just went through a whole series of lots up off of Pioneer, which is the top of the hill. Well, this is going up the hill on Woodside, just past the pump station. And it's working the buffer zone. We're not proposing to do any alteration of any wetlands. The actual erosion control silt fence hay bales is what's on the ground as exists now. That was needed for when they built the road, so that hasn't changed.
These are the originals back here, yeah.
That's the original area, and that's what's on the ground and in good shape right now.
Yep.
So we're just, actually that slope is pretty much as close to built as we're speaking, because it was needed for the road, and that infiltration system that you can kind of see off on the
Yeah,
left
over here.
in the back. That's not in the ground yet, but they've got it shaped kind of. So this is just actually because we're in the buffer zone and we're building a house, so we needed to file individually, and that's what we're doing. So that grading was actually the same grading that was shown on the definitive street plans for the most part.
Yeah, the grading was my biggest question for this, Julian, but you answered that already.
Yeah,
Sewer and water?
sewer and water.
It's not surprising, it's Bryceland.
Yeah, yeah, it's about 3 lots from the pump station, so this is an easy one.
All right, questions or comments from the commission?
Just in your DEP form, the ORW is checked off as no. Just make sure that that's in yes and keep track of that in the future, please.
Okay.
I'll open to the public. Questions or comments from the public? Hearing nothing. DEP number? No DEP, so we have to continue no matter what. Fine. But I figure we may as well discuss conditions now. Although the silt fence is already there, there's no knotweed. Because it's
No knotweed.
it's clear cut.
It is clear cut. And there's about 12 feet of fill or 14 feet of fill already,
Yeah.
or more.
So I don't think we need special, I don't know of any special conditions. I'm happy to,
This is gonna be like unreachable, so.
yeah. You were,
Yeah.
we walked right near there when we did the phase 5, phase 4, whatever walk that was. All right, I'll take a motion to continue.
I was just gonna say, just to clarify for my own benefit, all the grading in the back, the erosion control, that all falls under the superseding order of conditions, right? 'Cause that's all
Yes,
part
this
of the
is
road
the
work.
this is the
Yeah.
site plan
Okay.
for the DEP approved.
Yeah, okay. I can't think of any special conditions maybe.
All right, I'll take a motion to continue.
So moved.
Second,
Roll call.
Delco, aye.
Wanger, aye.
Gentilucci, aye.
Danza, aye.
Clock eye.
Great eye. So, as soon as we can get that number, Julian.
Okay, thank you. I'll probably have it at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, because that's what they usually do.
Exactly.
I called them today, and they usually, oh yeah, we're working on it. I emailed them, and it'll probably show up tomorrow morning, but that's okay.
Well, we get to hear your smiling voice again in
Well,
another couple
thank you.
weeks.
I'll see you guys soon.
All right. See you, Julian.
Bye.
Bye.
Moving on. Follow-up possible concern at 175 Barre Paxton Road. So several of us visited. You were here last time. Thank you very much for showing up. We had a nice discussion about it. Who went out and visited?
Oh.
So I'm going to start at that end of the table.
Oh, I know those two did.
Yeah, we saw
Yep.
him.
We showed up on Saturday after the other site walk, and nobody was home. So we just did a quick look around. So
There
please.
was, according to our mapping, there are some wetlands in the back there, there's no question about that. There was standing water when we went in and looked. I didn't see flow, all right, but there was some standing water, which is a heck of a surprise given the rain that we've had. But it's close. I mean, it's a, what would you want to call that? The best way to phrase that? It's not. It doesn't appear to be any damage to wetlands.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
But
just
you're
something-
within 100 feet
But you're-
of what looks like could potentially on that side piece. So it's like until you actually get some type of delineation on it, you don't know if it is or isn't.
Jared, care to comment?
I would agree. To me, it looked like there was some sort of resource area that is, I'm just pulling up on the map now. It was hard to tell. I think the resource area was actually on the next property to the south. Let me see if I can pull it up, at least on my screen.
I can.
Give me 1 second. There we go. Yeah, whether it is a stream or just maybe a BBW, hard to tell. But to me, it looked like there was something there. And
Way down in the back, it was a little easy to see, but
yeah,
on the side, all right, vegetation didn't look right for BBW. The standing water, I think, it's just trapped in there from all the rainfall. So it's kind of a judgment call here. It's not.
So, going back to what you said, Scott, Jared and I agree. There's no filling of wetlands going on here.
No.
Does it seem likely, based on some of the marks, that there was some movement of earthworks, of earth and rocks? It wouldn't.
Yep.
That's possible. Nothing went in. Nothing did any damage. I don't want. I'm not even going to finish that sentence because it can't go anywhere good.
Right. Hey, Peter, can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
Can you do me a measurement from like that? See the 126.7 line?
Hell no. This
Right
one-
there. No, come down one. Right there. Can you give me that to that wetland in the back?
Yeah. Okay.
Just ballpark.
Come on, cursor. Where'd you go?
Somewhere
From
in there. It's a
here
close
To
point.
about
Over there.
there. 128 feet.
Okay.
I mean, that's.
That's fine.
I mean, if
Well, I
I.
was just wondering because that other side where he's doing more, you're like, okay, how close is that to what's roughly
Yeah,
shot?
right.
Because
You're right.
otherwise, I don't.
You're right. There is more activity up here.
There's more up there, and if it's your 127, okay, you're definitely far enough. But like I said to him when we were talking, I went, I don't know where it is or not because you couldn't see, but
That was tough.
a 30, 40 foot on top of what you're looking, going, okay, you're pretty safe.
Yeah, 'cause it's
Yeah.
from where that was, the property lines, I think it's 70 feet.
Has nothing to do with property line.
So,
it goes
well,
to
no, I'm
wetlands.
just saying,
Oh,
to
yeah.
that property line, so if it's from that property line
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
125,
Yeah.
looking at almost 200 feet,
So, just checking.
so.
So, my advice to you is before you move dirt around
Check with you.
here. Yeah, exactly. Just check with us first.
I checked with the assessor.
Yeah,
My advice would be stabilize it.
yes.
He's got to plant something on that. He doesn't. We made a comment. He says, "I want to mow it." I said, "You got to stabilize it. You can't leave it as dirt. You can, but you're going to create a problem if it runs off." And then we come back.
It doesn't run now,
I know, but
because it's graded out and it's not running anywhere,
I know. It just
so,
something to hold it would be nice.
but yeah.
That's just my suggestion.
I would agree with
Yeah,
that.
I'm not from the assessor and everything, and they're like, they said it was fine,
Well, it's an assessor.
but yeah, so I mean, you guys are the wetlands.
Yeah, well, yeah, the assessor's not concerned with what we are concerned with.
Right.
Well, that's what I was
This-
concerned about that after
Right.
the last meeting, that's why I went there, I said, listen, you guys told me, you know, cause I checked before I did anything, to make sure I didn't have any issues on the land whatsoever, and that's where I found out that it was the Center Village District or something.
Did you
Like
ever
that.
talk to
The
the
state?
state?
You wanna know something? They're the hardest people to get a hold of. But yes, I did. I talked to the guy at the barn in Rutland.
Yep.
And he said, I know what you're talking about. He goes, unfortunately, I can't give you a letter because they're not authorized to. I have to go to the Sterling one to speak to the supervisor,
Okay,
which I'm trying to do.
Okay.
So I can get that letter because
that's fine.
they're the ones that told me it was
Yeah.
storm drainage runoff.
Yeah, but again,
It's not
that's
wetlands.
another thing that will help you
Right.
if this comes up again.
Oh, I'll get it, yeah,
So-
I'll get it for future.
Oh, that
reference.
culvert is also,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
he said they said
that's-
that, and it's like, okay, well, get something from the state from somebody that says that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That takes a lot of.
because
Because
that,
you see the culvert there.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what they said, it's the, and right near the corner of my property,
Mhm.
they have it built with the pavement and everything, and it drains down there.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
a storm drainage runoff. they
yeah,
call
I
it.
mean, I am not a CE, I'm not a wetland scientist, there are lots of things I'm not, but man, that makes sense to me, looking at the culvert, this big wetland here, and this little wetland, and what appears to my untrained eye as a hydrologic connection
Yeah.
between these two wetlands.
Yeah,
That's
but
where
see,
things,
but see, a lot of that's the old road. If you looked, where he's got the dirt up top,
Oh, yeah.
if you look down the bottom, you can see the old road come through. So I think that's a shadow of the old road.
oh, no, I agree that this, yeah, that is almost certainly, oh, no, that is definitely it. Because
Right.
where the water flows from the culvert
Right.
is so covered with trees that it's not visible to their aero
Right.
shots,
Right.
to their
Right.
airplane based
Well, that's what my
photography.
comment was about the plants and species.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not being something that you would classify BVW.
Right.
So.
I don't know what BBW means.
Bordering
Bordering
vegetative.
vegetative wetland.
Oh, okay.
What it means is that it's got plants that,
Yeah, exactly. That's what I did.
there's your education.
You use those acronyms to make yourself sound important.
That's true. I didn't look that closely at the plants. I'll admit it. I didn't really evaluate it. I said, yep, that's where the water's going. I get it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
And-
There was
and-
standing water there. There was
Yeah.
no question, but that could have been a result of the amount of
Of the
rainfall
rain,
we're
absolutely.
seeing.
Right.
So, it's right around here that you're gonna have the biggest, that there could be issues that you wanna kind of
It's not
stay
coming
clear.
I ain't doing nothing.
There you go. Exactly.
So maybe throw
How does
some
that
seed
sound?
down.
Hey, okay, want to say that again?
What was
Maybe
it?
throw some seed down though. I do agree with stabilization. Even though it doesn't seem to be running, one bad storm, it's sloped just right that it will go right under the fresh dirt and just carry it like a
I have a
landslide.
question. How about if I put stones along it, or would that be a problem? Because
Grass is good.
Grass is good.
Even if
Grass
you,
is-
even if you
grass
ne-
is expensive.
even if you
though.
never mow it,
Grass
grass
is
is good.
expensive though. The rocks are. I have a ton of rocks on the property.
Yeah, but rocks aren't going to stop water.
Yeah.
No, but it would stop the earth from.
No, it won't.
No,
No, it won't. It actually makes it worse.
You could probably get enough grass seed to do everything you need to do for about $75, to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
but you really need to
Yeah.
stabilize it.
All right.
That it'll
Yeah,
look
if that's
it'll
what-
look
I mean,
it'll
if
look
that's
better
what you're
and
suggesting, I'll do that.
And out front where the boat is too.
What's that?
Out front where the boat is too.
Right, that's the, well, no, I have to have, I have to get a hold of the state because they have to put, the stone down, they have to lay the stone down for the drainage, storm
Oh.
drainage runoff.
okay.
That, the granite boulder-like rock,
A rip-
Oh,
crushed
rip.
stone or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah,
Well, even that. Find out if they say they're going to do that, get their plan for it because that helps you too.
Yes.
Because if they're playing there, it,
Well, I don't know if
it-
they're planning on doing it, but I'm gonna ask them if they'll do it.
yeah.
You know,
But just the more you can do like that little stuff, the better you are.
I think I'm good.
Oh. Okay.
So anything else on 171 Barre Paxton?
Nope.
No.
I don't think so. I think this issue's closed.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
But Peter's advice is very,
Well,
very
thank you.
good. If you're gonna do anything, come and see us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Just give us a
absolutely
heads
will
up,
now.
talk to us about it.
Especially with the nosy bickering.
I cannot tell you how many times I have said people in this town love to rat each other out.
And, you know,
It's no
I
different
can
than any
tell you,
other
I can
town.
tell you there
Probably.
were
Really
a few
not.
properties on that road where there's wetlands and people filling them in and doing stuff, but I'm not that type of person.
Now, having also said that, we depend on people ratting each other out. So I'm not trying to make that sound like a bad thing either.
I'm not
Yeah,
trying.
you don't need to apologize next meeting again. Don't perturb the whole town.
Well, thank you very much.
It's only
everyone.
6:41. I have
Have a good
lots of
night.
time to screw up again.
I'll help you.
All right, we have a request for an extension of order of conditions from Mr. Ralph Anderson.
No.
Oh, look at that look.
Didn't I arrest you?
Aren't you gonna? So here is what we have is the order of conditions extended in 2018, which are about to expire.
Right.
And so we appreciate you coming to us before they expire.
Thanks to this man here.
Aha! So,
How many years you
I was
want?
gonna say,
As many as you'll give us. It may take that long to sell it, even though Ralph doesn't want to hear that.
these are
Can you-
on Pleasant.
Pleasantdale
No.
and they're on Wachusett.
Yeah, they're on what? These are on
Wachusett.
Wachusett.
Wachusett and 68.
Yes.
The murder house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're right
Please,
behind.
one of the murder
Murder
houses.
houses.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no,
Another
what-
time,
what-
another time.
I remember walking that
I'm
property
sorry, I
tell me
opened
the
that.
story.
I'm
the
so
first
sorry.
time. Eric Bigelow was on.
That's a
commission at that
long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
That well in the front,
Oh my God.
right on the corner of the property,
Yeah.
Can you fell down the well?
it had a cover on it. And Eric's picking the cover up. I put my hand on it. I said, don't pick that up. You don't know what might be in there.
You don't know about this?
Later.
This will be post meeting.
This is,
This was all
I'm
after.
interested.
This was all prior to there.
Yeah.
How many years, Rough?
We can go
Well,
3 years.
we can go
without
3
As,
reading.
years.
as many as you'll give us. How many can you give?
Three.
5?
three.
Three.
Well, it'll take 3.
How big's the check?
Still 3.
You are recorded. Just saying.
I didn't say who'd make it up.
I'm on record saying I am on the take, but you can't afford me.
Yes, none
You were
of
honest.
zeros. That's what I like to say. None of zeros. Sorry.
So in any event, see now that's the one that's going to back to haunt me. I know.
I pushed you.
Motion to extend by 3
Hold on,
years.
hold on. I have a question. Any changes to the plan?
No.
Okay.
You have to amend, yeah.
Well, just making sure.
Yes, Mr. Williams.
Okay, so now we're ready for the
Whoa,
motion.
whoa, Mr. Williams has.
The question, it says lot 1 and 2,
Yes.
Correct.
where's lot 3?
Sold.
It's the one getting built right now.
It's right on Wachusett.
And
It's kind of wet.
Yeah, lot 3 had an order of conditions on it.
Yeah, they all did.
they all did.
And that one expires the same time, but it's been sold.
But you're
so
effectively
it doesn't fall
It has a
under
building
Ralph.
permit, so it's fine.
Okay. so
no,
that-
no.
Oh,
No.
really?
When? How long until that's done?
Yeah, work
It's,
it.
You
it's still
cannot be
dirt.
working in the buffer zone without a valid permit.
It's still dirt.
Lot 3 doesn't have anything to do with Ralph right now, because it's been sold.
That's, the lot's
Oh.
been sold, so
It
it's
doesn't
different
have anything
owners.
to
So
do
you're
with
gonna have to
Ralph.
No. So somebody else is going to have to extend.
Right.
The new
Correct.
owners,
So we should
Yeah.
probably tell them to make it.
Hopefully when
All
they
right.
bought it,
Find out
they
who
told
bought it.
that. They should have
It
been, right?
expires in 5 days.
Yeah, if considering it expires in 5 days.
So,
Yeah.
is the entrance still gonna be the same, off of that same one going in there right now?
Next to it. Next to 3, to the right of 3.
But right now it shows that
Yeah, right there.
right there,
Yeah.
and that's gonna be the same entrance to it?
Yeah, there's like two driveways really on top of each other that come down here.
And the artesian well they just put in is right here,
No, well, you mean for 3?
for 3?
Oh, I don't know where they put that in.
You know this.
Right there, they put the artesian well right where the driveways are gonna be, so.
Is that a problem?
Pardon?
That's not their land. Right, Jeff?
Yeah,
Are
it
you-
shouldn't be.
Are you sure? anyways, I hollered at him the other day, yesterday, and, make sure that you've got it in the right place. Is it on the A&R, the combined driveways, or is that a special permit?
According to, there's separate driveways. But they run right against each other.
It's a common driveway.
There are two driveways running
The
side by
original,
side.
the original drawings on it, Dick, if I remember right, there were separate driveways, cause there wasn't enough frontage.
Correct.
Yeah, it's like supposed to be like 18 inches
They were
between or
just-
something.
Yes, it's
They
right,
were
it's
just
right, they're right up
adjacent
against
to
each
one
other.
another.
They're up
Yeah.
against each other.
Yeah.
They're on separate parcels.
You don't have a picture of it though, okay? Because,
Not here.
in my opinion, it might be an illusory driveway off of 68. They have one that's shown on here, but it's, it might be close enough to the wetland that it cannot be built.
Is this what you're looking for? That's it right there, the two driveways.
All right, you come in here I don't know if that's the house, the bounds. So the driveway goes to here, right here, is lot 2, so that
It
goes in
crosses
there.
over, it
But-
crosses over.
Well, what's this one here?
It's,
Yes, I know, I only
Okay.
brought
I
up
don't know
one
the
because
map
they're.
here.
I just, no, I
This
just.
is the Board of Assessors map
Just
on
now?
the computer.
Yeah, I don't know what that, I don't know what that road is. This is the map.
And this one
we-
doesn't, if I remember right, I went through
With
it,
the
it does
three
not
properties.
contain
Right here.
the plan, so.
Yeah.
That'd be going through that person's house right on.
Yeah, I know it,
on
that's
West
why,
Street.
that's why I say, I don't, have no idea what that was on that, why it's on
Right,
there.
I think
What
one
do
is
you-
also on the map.
All right,
Paper.
Dick, what are you looking at? What map are you looking at?
Board of Assessors,
Oh, okay.
Don't trust
They got
the
that
Board of
little
Assessors.
disclaimer there down the
Yeah, I know.
bottom of us all the time.
all right, so if it's for lot 1 and 2, 3 is out then,
3 is not part of this discussion.
okay?
Oh, sorry. Motion to extend, lots 1 and 2 for 3 years.
I was second it.
I think Skip did, didn't he?
Did skip
Oh.
this
Whatever, it doesn't make any
So you're not listening, you're not paying attention, Scott. Roll
Tell
call.
why.
There's not enough zeros. Line for nine.
Gentlelucci, aye.
They're going down.
Danza eye.
Strain eye. There, you're extended, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Jeff, I'll email those to you.
Great, thank you.
Nice to see you,
Now,
Rob.
if you know that owner of the other lot there, you might wanna,
Yeah, I've been,
that's true, he needs to
I
know
don't know.
too.
That bothers me, Dick says that well, intention well is on my property.
The driveway's gonna go right over it.
Yeah.
That's what it looks.
I don't know.
And I asked the Board of Health if that was okay or not, and she didn't know.
Oh.
The well, the road going over the well, right?
Yeah.
Thanks again.
Add salt to
Thank
it.
you.
Oh, well,
That's all. Not a good time.
All right,
Ralph, have a good night.
Thank you.
let's have a discussion about. Yes, utility poles on Finn Park Road, yes. So they're replacing
5 and putting
They're
on.
replacing 5 and adding another one, and so the question before the commission is does the addition require any sort of filing?
On Finn Park Road,
Yeah,
Is there
which ones are they replacing?
the bad ones?
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess, but I would hope.
I'm not sure that we have a,
But, no, my question is there's a series of poles, that may or may not be used anymore,
well,
that run up to the solar farm.
Oh, they're gonna replace the ones that they use.
Remember those ones there that we were,
oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the important element from this email is the new pole location
Yeah.
is 96 feet from the shore of Devon Pond.
Who owns where the pole's going? Do they have a utility easement for where the new pole is going? That's probably more important than anything else.
yeah, well, I would
As
think,
far as them digging a hole that's gonna put this much dirt in the ground, thanks for asking us, but you could. That's my opinion.
Well, I don't know how to answer that question. I don't have the information.
They probably do have an easement on the other side of the, there's gotta be an easement that exists for the road,
Wouldn't it
the
be
roadway.
They're talking
under
about,
yours?
well, except it's a private way also.
Yeah.
And so I remember seeing something that they're moving some poles across the road. So I can only presume, it all being private land, that they have the easements that they need to do that.
Yeah.
But that's not jurisdictional.
No.
And they don't have anybody to cut to, I don't think, unless there's someone here to discuss this from
National
Mass
Grid.
Electric or. Didn't think so.
Good.
Just thought I'd give them the opportunity. So,
Utilities and railroads are pretty much the same.
Yeah, so
You're
that-
not gonna stop them.
Well, the tricky part was this, is technically it's an expansion because it's a new pole, but with it being 96 feet from the edge of Demon Pond,
and considering the amount of earth disturbance, which is
Yeah.
Yeah.
the area of a pole.
I think we're good.
Yeah, I don't think.
Generally, what I've seen where the poles have been replaced going down into Spencer, they've put wattles around every,
Really?
yeah, but that might have been a private company, a solar
Right.
company, because it was going up to those big solar fields.
Right.
I think they are exempt. I think they might be.
Even the new?
Even with the new pole. So let me read this section of the Wetlands Protection Act, or regulations. Installation of directly embedded utility poles, associated anchors, push braces, etc., along existing paved or unpaved roads and private roads, and their existing maintained shoulders, or within existing blah blah blah. I'll leave out some of the not important words here. Provided that all work is conducted within 10 feet of the road or driveway shoulder, and is a minimum of 10 feet from the edge of the bank or BVW. I think that
That covers it.
I think that
well,
covers
does
it.
that pre or post date the exemption of as long as it's not expanding? Because their exemption is that they're maintaining or replacing but not expanding. It's when they're expanding that they're not exempt.
Okay. That's under minor activities. And that's
Right.
listed as a minor activity. And provided that there is no work, I think within that 10 feet of resource areas, I think they're exempt.
I think regardless, I think we're good on this one.
Yeah. 90 some odd feet is good.
Nice.
It's pretty safe.
Yep.
Do you know how they install the pole? I'm assuming they must
They do.
auger,
They
right?
do.
They
It's
might
not
auger
They
for it.
auger straight down, stick it in.
So it's gonna be minimal earth disturbance anyways.
Yeah.
So should we respond that it is exempt, or should we respond that no filing is required?
No filing required,
Want me to respond?
Would you please?
because otherwise if we're wrong,
Yes!
or if we read it wrong, you know, that is all we
That leaves our options closed.
That's right.
And they are moving it from a tree to a pole, so it's pretty.
That's actually that's an
yeah,
improvement.
that's where I was like, it's not really expanding. Yes, there's a new pole, but it's just kind of shifting it from a tree.
Alrighty.
Wait on a second.
I'm sorry.
Are
Yes.
there restrictions on whether those poles can or can't have creosote treatment at the bottom?
They don't creosote poles anymore. They're salt.
They don't?
They stopped a long time ago.
Okay. Answers that.
Can't use arsenic either.
Yeah.
All the good stuff is
Darn
gone.
it. Alrighty. Anything else on Finn Park Road? Moving on. Drainage / wetland concerns at 101 and 103 Glenwood. So, I'm not going over the whole history. I will say, in the past 2 weeks, I've had a very nice long conversation with Mark Elbach. And
Senior or junior?
Junior.
Okay.
And he had walked the sites when he was preparing 105.
Mm-hmm.
And he is familiar and says there were no wetlands at the time of construction,
At 105.
at 103 or 101. 'Cause he
When
went-
105 was being built.
When 105 was being evaluated, he walked 101 and 103 to make sure that he didn't that he wasn't within 100. And the slope of the land was such that there was no standing water, everything would shed towards the road, which actually makes perfect sense. And he also said the following very interesting words: "I wouldn't be surprised if there were a wetland there now, because it's been leveled, the water doesn't run quite as well. But as near as we can tell, or as near as he can tell, and therefore as near as I can tell, there was no problem with wetlands during construction of 103 and 101. Questions, yes?
It was our understanding that at 101, there was a fill to the depth of 8 foot.
I have no information about that at all.
And that there's a gully that runs in between it still runs between the property lines of 101 and 103.
There's a gully that runs? I don't remember seeing
I don't
that, and
understand
I
that.
drive
Pretty
that.
much constant flow of water there, no matter whether it's rained or not.
The only flow I've seen is coming out of the pipe from the back of 103.
And then they've had to remediate and put French drains in. Now it just comes out on the Glenwood Road. Any time of day,
Right.
any day of the week,
Yep.
it's running down Glenwood to try and remediate that.
No dispute, there's certainly been a lot of water that comes out of that.
Did we ever talk to Jen about these two?
No, I never did.
Because it is mapped Zone A.
Well, the maps that we had seen showed that those lots were on wetland.
Maps aren't always right.
Correct.
Yeah, they
So-
are an approximation of an analysis of airplane photos.
Yeah.
That's how they that's how they mark the mapped wetlands, and then at time of before construction, someone needs to go out and look at it and evaluate it to see whether or not there is or is not an actual wetland there.
I don't know why we never clicked in our heads.
If there's water on it, then that's not enough of a definition for
Oh, no,
Water doesn't mean wet.
That's right.
Water does not mean
Water
wet.
does not a wetland
what
make,
an
no.
odd interpretation.
Yes.
A wetland is defined by the plants that are on it, and even better by the soils that are present. Those, and in my mind, it's soils that really determine it, but plants can be a secondary
What if
proxy in the right
there's water
conditions.
on it all the time?
That just means water flows through it.
When we did the original sidewalks down here when 105 was being built, there was no standing water anywhere,
Right.
none.
But we have standing.
Even the gully next to the rail trail,
Mm-hmm.
which was the reason he filed
Right.
Right.
that for 105, right? We did not believe at the time that he even needed to file for 105. But he asked to file just in case
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that was a
the thing
determination.
at the
With
rail trail
was
That
considered-
swale?
where it crosses the
we didn't know
roadway.
how to
Okay.
define that at
There
that
was-
point, so he was
There
fine.
was discussion as to whether that was runoff from the road,
Right.
right, or if we actually had a wetland there.
But
So
that
it was
swale
mutually
seems to always be
agreed,
full now.
it was
Yeah.
mutually agreed at the time to file to
Okay.
that one lot,
Uh-huh.
because it was definitely within 100 feet to that drainage
To that swale.
On the rail trail.
on the rail trail. Right, and that's why he filed that one. Right, the other two, we never did any filings on those.
See, now this map, which I don't have up, shows a fascinating stream all the way through here that doesn't show up on the other maps.
That's kind of.
And that's why it's Zone A.
We never did this. Who are you?
Oh,
Yeah, thank you.
I'm Cody Coyne, I live at 105.
Okay.
and so the
My wife.
very front part of our property
Yes.
that has all the trees standing in it is always wet. If you don't go in with boots on, your shoes are gonna get mushy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just hard to understand it's hard to understand that it's not wetland since there's water on it, but if you said that doesn't necessarily meet the definition.
Right.
So you key off what plants are growing there? to just
Plants,
not
soil-
whether
plants
there's
and
Plants
water
and
on
soil
it?
samples are
and
actually
soils.
definitive.
Soil-
You're looking at
soils
it
are
from a
ruled
conservation
generally.
standpoint,
Yes.
right? Not,
We're not saying it's not wet. We're not telling you it's not
Correct.
wet. But whether it's classified as a wetland is plants and soil.
There are regulations that define what makes a wetland a wetland.
Right.
And soil is one of the key
from a
indicators.
conservation standpoint.
Correct,
Yes.
yes, yes.
let's highlight that one for the sake of
Excuse
it.
me.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Jason Carey. I live at 101 Glenwood. We spoke last time I was on the Zoom. I just, what plants are indicators? I'm just curious.
Oh,
There's a lot.
It's very,
There's a lot.
it's very large, yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably too broad of a question.
Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
And reasoning why? Just
I'm
so you
just-
see if you have any.
I'm just curious, yeah.
Okay.
I don't want it to be by any means.
Right.
I'm just.
Put it this way, you didn't have any
When they were built.
when they were building.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I'm
What's growing up in the meantime? I mean, that's, you know, subject to the birds flying over.
Right.
You know.
Okay. Right, that makes sense. Okay.
So one of the plants that I use is mountain laurel, which is in fact an upland plant. If you see mountain laurel, you're not in the wetland.
Oh, well, we do have some of that, so.
So I'm not saying that 10 feet on either side isn't a wetland. All I can say is that spot. And when you watch the line of mountain laurel grow, it gives you a good indicator of the rough shape of where one might be. But it's all might be's because it gets.
How is your lot as far as to walk on? Do you have what? This is out front. Do you have mushy spots that are always mushy?
Maybe like further back, like at the far back.
So you're at the back of your property.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if a
where
lot of
there's-
your
where there's a
problem
lot of
is
trees
because the
still.
other ones.
Well, I think we have less problem than they do.
Mine's
Yeah,
mostly
it's-
where
Our
there's a lot of
understanding.
trees still.
I
It's
mean,
not,
we're
doesn't
kind
get
of
a whole lot of
defending our
sun,
neighbors.
you know.
It's mushy here.
Right.
Because I think we are below where they are. These two
Right.
homes are
I'm
elevated.
thinking yours got worse because they put the other two houses in. Is what I'm saying.
But I don't know. But
It's down- it's down- it's all
the
downhill.
access road to this lot is mushy,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
always wet.
Yeah.
And then it's a little bit soft back here, and it's really muddy and wet back here.
I mean, we've had an extreme amount of water this year.
Oh,
as
yes.
well,
We
so-
have, we have.
Yeah. It's hard to gauge based on that, you know,
Right.
but.
Well,
But
not
the
that I'm-
trench or whatever you
Oh,
call
it's
it,
always-
there's always water.
Yeah, but it's same
Yeah.
down here. It's always water.
Always.
There's always standing water.
Yeah,
It's great for mosquitoes.
right.
Well, just to take the story back a few steps,
Uh-huh.
the real reason Jared and I were there looking was not because of these properties. It's because water. No, it's not that one. Water flows down the road, and last year I think it was the DPW redid all of that drainage and the entrances here, and that
But
flows.
they only came to, can you move the map up just a little bit this way? They only came to right about they didn't come all the way to us. They came up to about here because the pipe that comes off of
Mhm.
this of 103, it doesn't capture it, so it flows onto the road and then back at our driveway.
Right. So
Why they didn't continue
all the
that
wa-
farther down, I don't know.
all the water that flows in the pipe that's under right here
Yeah.
hits a junction, flows under a culvert to this and dumps onto this man's property.
Oh my
And he's got
Oh yeah.
water issues.
Yes.
Oh.
So we're in the scheme of things of the administrative bodies for the city of Rutland. What commission or body protects the homeowner to make sure that their home wasn't built on soggy landfill? Who makes that decision to say, no, you can't build here, to protect people? Where does that happen? I understand your mission here, I understand that, because it's more of it's a conservation environmental thing, and you're looking at watersheds, to protecting the watersheds in the Wachusett and Quabbin, but the other, maybe we're just in the wrong place. Who protects, tells the contractor, you can't build on this land?
I mean,
You're
they
gonna
wouldn't have
have
got
trouble.
a permit from us
Right.
if it was,
Wetland, but doesn't
Wetland.
say it can't be wet.
can't,
You could have a lot of groundwater.
yeah.
High groundwater isn't.
Well, the fast
it's-
the fast answer to your question is the building commissioner, because it turns into building code for the right set of dirt that you have to be excavated down through to make sure you have a good place to set a foundation. And that is entirely a building code enforcement matter. And so the building commissioner at the time would have had to look at this and say, looks like they're going down through, because they would see the hole.
Yeah,
Where
they
the
would
foundation's going.
inspect
They would
the
inspect the hole and they'd inspect whatever, the
Footing.
whatever stone they put in,
Yeah.
and and all the footing and all the concrete, all of that is inspected by the building inspector.
When do they go on site? After construction's already begun?
Certain stages, there's
Yeah,
stages.
at a variety of
There's a
stages.
footing inspection, there's a foundation inspection, there's a framing inspection, there's electrical rough, so it's all in stages, and they can't go to the next step until it's done.
Oh,
And that's why if you look at your actual permit, there's sign-offs with certain sign-off dates, that's when it was inspected.
Do they look at it before construction begins?
No.
No,
Not generally.
they
That's
look
the
at it
point.
when,
That's exactly the point.
no,
You're gonna have a footing in a hole, so you're gonna have a slab of concrete sitting in a hole.
They look
You
at the
can
hole before they fill the hole.
So, and it's just a slab on the ground with no, so you can see what's there.
Yeah, that's the risk that the developer takes, or the builder takes. When he starts, he's
That's
gotta
just the
dig, he's
permit.
gotta
Oh,
dig
I'm
the
actually
hole
looking for-
before he's got
actually,
anything
that's
that can be
not-
inspected.
It's not really site plans.
Maybe
If it passes inspection, well, fine, he's in good shape, but if it doesn't,
For 101.
then he's gotta come up with a way of drying it out or doing whatever he needs to do
So
to
they
make
look
it
at
buildable.
pre-pour.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
After the hole is dug, because they have to look at the soils, and they have to look to see that
Yeah, that's
it's
to check
the right
compaction.
soil, the right level of compaction, all of that has to.
And also did test pits for the septic. And that's through Board of Health, which did not demonstrate wet soils, I think, from what I remember when we looked at it last
Right,
time.
they were actually really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does conservation have to look at every property that's built, or is it just if it could possibly be wet?
Only the ones where there is the potential to be too near wetlands where we need to improve it.
Okay.
It's wise to check with us,
Right.
but you don't have, a lot of lots don't have to jump through the hoops to be developed.
Where are the other
Right.
files?
Because I
Oh,
don't
that's
know
what
if
I
you
should
remember
do.
last time we spoke, I was on the Zoom call and I had said that I had spoke to someone in conservation and I was mistaken because when I had called up here, I asked to speak to someone in conservation and they sent me to, his name was Bill, and I believe he was the building commissioner,
Building inspector,
possibly,
yeah.
or
Yeah,
building.
okay,
That's who I spoke with,
Okay.
so I just wanted to clarify that.
that would've been Willie.
Yep.
Yes, Will was his name, yeah.
Mhm.
All right,
So can we actually go to the town and see this?
Yeah.
Next to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
building-
Oh, yeah.
The building inspector's
To the
office.
Building
inspector?
department, yeah.
Okay.
They're in the annex.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
What else? Here's anything about, foundation.
He has a foundation but no footing.
He doesn't, yeah, or excavation for that matter.
Mm-hmm. Well, he doesn't have any on his.
So does that mean they didn't put them in or didn't get inspected? What does that mean?
This suggests that they were never inspected for excavation and footings.
But somebody okayed the
The
foundation,
foundation's okay,
because they wouldn't have been able to backfill until they had that.
right.
So nobody actually looked at the excavation when it was going on?
Pre-pour.
You'd have to confirm with the building department.
Yeah. The problem is Willie's no longer around.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And since I've done it once,
But this house was built first before theirs.
Yes.
equivalent document for 103
Apparently.
says they never inspected the frame, the foundation.
Yeah, that one doesn't even have an okay.
So most of the time, from having had an office in a building department, doesn't always necessarily mean that they didn't go out. It might not have been that they just didn't have the permit on site to physically sign.
Okay.
Because usually they will not do the next inspections unless they've done the first ones.
So is that just in another document in the office?
You know, it could have been
Or
a lot
there's
of-
no physical?
most likely my history is that they would have never done just a rough frame without any other inspections first.
But
Right.
is there documentation that has somebody's signature on it?
Most likely, you know, it was probably just a site visit. They set up their inspections for the day, so whether they still have that, I'm not sure. You'd have to talk to them.
The other thing I note is, I mean, this is for 103.
Yes,
That arrow suggests to me that there's more
There's a
information
flip.
on the back page.
some on the backside that is not scanned.
Mhm.
And if I go back to 105, no, there might be a mark there, there might not.
And what about for 101?
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Oh,
Going there next.
sorry.
That's, no, it's okay.
And it's completely running.
Okay, so this is my guess for what happened. It's
It
just
got
like
lost.
Melissa said. It's not that it got lost. Well, it may have been lost. I
And
shouldn't
they
say
just
that. What I'll
reissued
say
it
is
again.
a building permit is supposed to be conspicuously posted so that the inspectors can just sign it. My best guess at this moment is that many of these actually did happen, because I don't know how they could have gotten
Occupancy.
electric or an occupancy permit.
That's okay.
Which suggests that they were done, just weren't documented here. Because
I'm gonna tell you what happened.
it
I've
probably
had
wasn't
mine
posted.
just- I've had mine
I'm gonna
destroyed.
tell you what happened. Because they conspicuously post them. okay,
They get rained on.
Sometimes they are conspicuous to the weather,
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right? And the document gets so messed up, all right, that they take a clean sheet and sign off on it. The other document may exist still in some file
right.
over a building department, but it's not a document suitable for scanning in. Because if you go,
It's a little,
you know, go look at any new house that's
discomforting.
being built, you're gonna see a permit, building permit, somewhere on that house, on a foundation or tacked to the frame or something, or hanging in the window, depending on what level or what phase of the construction they're at.
Well, I think, and I don't mean to speak for my neighbors, but I'm gonna try and defend them a little bit. Based on the issues that they've been experiencing, and then seeing those areas blank, I think there's a little bit of difficulty seeing why there wouldn't have been something seen on the excavation site. And then it's blank here, you know what problems they're having.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you can see where there's like, wow, that, are you sure that's what happened? You know?
Yeah,
And
Are
even
you-
and even
you
that.
really
lot-
didn't see something?
I mean, a lot of that's one of those. Not to push it off because I don't
Yeah.
like doing that. You really need to talk to the building department
Yeah.
and see what they have.
Glenwood Place
I mean,
extension.
I've built stuff and they've
Yeah,
got destroyed,
that's.
and they give you a
that's
new
part of
one, but the
Glenwood
other one is
Place, yeah.
just, and they know they signed off because they have a book
Oh,
on
so
it.
how much
Right.
would have bit this
But they
whole
can't.
thing?
They're not going to redo it again. But I definitely don't want to push it off. That's
No.
that's the last thing I want to. Any questions? Obviously, ask us.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, you're saying there should be another record of this where everything's been signed
There
off?
could be.
there could be, yeah. And the best way to find that out is to go to the building department and find out.
Okay,
Right.
that's
Physically
on
have to-
Glenwood Road, so it
Yeah,
ought to
everything
really
else,
be.
like-
And is it now, we're e-permitting system, so it's all online?
Yeah.
It is
Now.
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, for
Right.
new
Not-
things.
No, I
Not
know it's
4
not
years
there
ago,
yet.
Right.
right? It wasn't 4 years ago.
No.
No,
No.
only within like the past year or so, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, your house was built just prior
Right,
to the E-permit.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't wanna say it was the last one, though.
No.
Might have been.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there's
Oh, that's the
additional
original
acreage
building
behind all of us
Mm-hmm.
that currently is listed as one piece of acreage.
It's going to be another house someday.
If he subdivides, how does, I mean, does that go before you all to be reassessed?
No.
Cause it's very close to the
That
rail
that
trail.
goes,
It
that's
borders
all
the rail
planning
trail.
board.
That's all what?
Planning board.
board.
Planning
Oh,
board deals
planning
with
board.
all land issues, who owns what, or actually what's divided, what the zone is, all of that is all planning board. So this is that big lot you're talking about.
Yeah, and there's two
Yeah.
and there's two entrances into it, and
Come
it's,
on.
it's probably
Highlight
it's
it.
probably
There you-
technically,
Oh,
looking at this, it could be a couple lots.
In fact,
It's
one,
really wet.
two,
Yeah.
three, Well, we also see the wetlands back here that are
Yeah.
clearly marked.
Yes.
Again,
Well, you got
they
two-
need to be properly delineated.
How
but-
many acres is
So-
that?
16.
Yeah.
16 acres, you got the possibility of 3 estate
He's
lots.
got
So
three
if-
right
Yeah.
there. He already
If
has.
this
He's
is,
got the driveways there, so
if this is
Frontage is
wetland
about 50
here,
feet.
isn't this wetland here
Well, again,
or not?
It has to be seen.
we don't
It has
know
to
for
be
sure. That needs to be
seen.
evaluated. So this is what triggered this board's questions is this map. We were never involved when these houses were built.
Oh.
And so that's why we're digging into the past to see what happened and what had been filed, what hasn't been filed. And that's why when I spoke to the wetland scientist who walked in and he said that he saw no sign of wetlands here, then this is one of those things that DEP says,
no.
we think from the photograph it might be a wetland, so we'll mark it. But the best information we have today is that there is no
I don't
actual
think that
wetland.
mark is it. If
Was
there's any doubt at all.
no actual wetland.
It'll be it.
Now,
I mean, if there's any,
I know, because I've been there, that this ground slopes this way, and that's may have something to do with it, but I don't know what the water source is, because, let me throw out the topos. We'll see how long this takes to paint.
I was gonna say, Peter, when we first started looking at this, one of the things that jumped out to me is just looking at the topography of the surrounding area. I thought to myself, it would be really weird that there would be a wetland there.
Yes.
Because there's a knoll to the south, a
Yeah.
high point, and it all generally slopes to the north or northwest. And you do have a lot of wetlands in the northwest around the rail
Mhm.
trail. But that one spot, again, the DEP maps give you an idea that maybe there's something there. That wetland could be larger than the map shows, it could be smaller, or it could not be there at all. So that's where the field investigation has to happen.
Plus there's a large gravel pit back there where they're removing earth.
So, yes, if the owner chooses to subdivide, he'll have to go to planning board and do a thing called an A&R, which is, believe it or not, approval not required.
Those are state laws.
They'll need a special
those are
permit.
estate, they're gonna need approval.
Estates.
Special thing.
Oh, they're gonna do a special estates. Oh,
That's why you got the 3 legs.
Yeah.
It or a
This is
subdivision, you
their-
know, they're gonna be
That's the
town
50
roads
foot
eventually.
easement.
Oh, now, I don't wanna think about those words, Dick. Let's pretend no one ever said those words.
Wait, what was that? I missed that.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Okay. I heard nothing.
Yet a different planning board process
Yeah.
involving roads.
You would receive a letter in the mail. so
Okay,
that you
that's
could
what I was
partake in a
wondering
public
about that.
hearing.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely, there's a public hearing and you will
Okay,
certainly
good.
be notified.
Great,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, you would get a butters
Yeah.
notification.
Yes,
Absolutely.
anybody within 300 feet would get a notification.
And that's 300 feet from the property boundary.
From the edge of the
Yeah.
property.
So
Yeah,
it goes
absolutely.
pretty far.
Yeah, you may all of a sudden get inundated with return receipt mail.
Nah, planning doesn't do a return receipt.
No, not even.
No.
They just stick it in the mail.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's for now.
I guess you guys have the return.
No, they
We
aren't.
do a return
Yes,
receipt.
we don't.
I know some
It's kind of a
engineers
problem. It's kind of a problem.
I never knew that.
was
Yeah.
doing certified
That's why I
mail.
like certificates of mailing since it's regular
Well,
mail.
because
but
again,
they
it's,
stamp
they
it.
need,
Yes.
well, there are a couple of ways they can satisfy the notice
Yeah.
Yeah.
to us, but,
5.
yeah.
How do you use 5?
If it's from Concom, it'll be
Unless
return
you don't
receipt.
send them.
If it's from planning, they don't do a return receipt.
No, we don't, work the field either.
You're right.
It wasn't a wasted day, I learned something.
Any other questions? I mean, it seems like most of yours from what you were talking about is groundwater, not surface water, i.e. wetland.
Well, we were looking at the map.
Yep.
Right.
There, you know, that
Oh,
shows
yeah.
wetland and
Right.
for our neighbors.
Yep.
That's-
Right, so, I mean, for your information, every time a building permit comes up on Viewpoint, I have to sign off on it. I have to sign off on it twice for 2 boards, but let's not talk about that. And what I do is I find it on the map and I look and see if there's wetlands within 100 feet of where they're talking about doing work. And if there is, I say, you need to come talk to Conservation Commission, please show up at the meeting at whatever date. And then we have a discussion about what is there, isn't there, have they actually delineated what's going on, so that we don't have questions like this. So, these two properties, you had Viewpoint been active then, it would have been, come and talk to us, and they would have said at the time, there are no wetlands and here's why. Here's what my wetland scientist said, and would have said.
But that's what he
Has
did
anybody,
say.
has anybody walked these recently?
I was on the property with this gentleman
Out back?
2 months ago.
Out back?
Out back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Now I haven't done a full walk of the property. We went to the back of the house. We looked and saw where a number of the water issues are today.
Okay.
Where is the majority at this point?
The majority of.
Water issues.
Well, I can only tell you about 103 because that's the only place I've spent any time.
You're 105?
Yes, there.
We're
there-
105.
Can we
there-
get to go down there and look at,
Yeah.
you know, can we go on your
I
property?
mean,
Yes, sir.
I mean, you want us to walk your stuff and take a peek for giggles?
So we can go down and take a look.
Well, it's one of those, it's a walkthrough to
Yeah.
see, I mean, not that we're gonna see whatever, but if that's something, we're willing to look at it at least.
Ours isn't bad.
Yeah, but it's still one of those, if you're gonna walk, if you don't mind,
You're
we'll walk
101.
we'll walk all three of them.
You're 101?
101, 102.
I'm 101. Yeah.
He's 101. He's 103.
He's 103.
Oh, we have everybody.
Yeah, we have everybody.
Oh.
The other piece of information is that wetlands are not static. They come and they go. One of the reasons, now you heard us talk about a 3-year order of extension. The reason we do 3 years is that wetlands can change in 3 years. So if we were to have a wetland scientist, if someone were, we're not gonna pay a wetland scientist to do it, we don't have the cash for that. If someone were to delineate wetlands on these properties, that person may see wetlands now that the wetland scientist 4 years ago didn't see.
Right.
Because the topology has changed.
Well,
The
and
fact
4
that
years
there's-
ago was very dry, yes?
4 years ago it was dry, now there's a foundation, and if water's running down, it's gonna hit that foundation and start running around and pooling and all of it. There's a lot of things from a hydrologic point of view that are really interesting. And in fact, knowing what I know about water going into this property, gee, since with the swale right here, could there be other things happening on your property because of it? I don't know, but it's possible. And in truth, the only thing that the presence of wetlands will do for anyone here at this point moving forward is it will limit what you can do with the property. That's really, from our point of view,
Limited in terms of,
Cutting down
If we
trees,
classify it as wetlands,
making more lawn.
then you have to come to us if you're 100 feet or to do anything.
Right.
to do anything, like you said, cut a tree down.
Yeah, right. Because
Any
Or if
alteration.
you were to
Any-
put an
anything that
addition on
alters
your
earth,
house,
That alters
Yeah.
earth.
yes.
that alters earth absolutely comes before us. Trees are another thing
It's kind
also
of a
that come before us.
catch-22.
I'm sorry, how,
It is a
how can that be
catch-22.
deemed wetlands after it's already been deemed not wetlands?
Because wetlands change
Because
over time.
Wetlands change.
So what
But
was
due to
not wetland can
construction?
become it. What was wetland once
Can disappear.
can disappear because
dry
water
up.
flows in a different direction.
And I think in this instance, so Peter keep mentioning a swale. So what I think initially was determined as a wetland is now qualifies as a swale, which is a stormwater infrastructure. So it is exempt under the Wetlands Protection Act because it's something that's maintained. It was built to detain water, hold water, from the road. It's acting as a feature, not a natural resource. Does that make sense? And that's why it holds water.
That's why it holds water.
That's why it
Okay,
holds water.
okay.
So some of those things are
designed to, yes.
designed to hold water.
To release it back underground slowly instead of running off.
Yeah.
It gets very complicated very quickly, involving rates of water flow and volume of water flow, because you don't want water to flow much more quickly or much more slowly than it did before this. There are huge design elements to how the entire stormwater infrastructure works and all the management and
To be
detention
completely
ponds
honest
and-
with you, okay? Any piece of paper that shows a wetlands map or a permit or anything that we issue in the order of conditions or anything like that, in my years of experience, I have never found that piece of paper to be effective in holding back Mother Nature. It always seems somehow to get around us.
I'm just
unfortunately, you
a
know,
little
you guys
discomforted
kind of
by the fact
stuck
that there
on
was
that,
no
stuck in the
notice of
middle of that at
intent
this
filed
point.
on my property, and a house was built, and you show me a building inspection with nothing signed off on, and then, you know, I wouldn't want you guys to come on my property and be like, oh, now it is what, you know what I mean, like, that's.
Yeah.
No, no,
you're not,
You know what I mean?
We,
That's-
we
that's
are
not
not
gonna-
looking to go out and declare
Yeah,
wetlands everywhere,
I'm-
so.
Right.
I'm
And I
okay.
think at this point, we're not looking to move retroactively.
Okay.
Right.
So this is, you know, moving forward, if you're having water problems, you know, that's where we wanna ensure that, you know, if there's something that we can assist you in, then that's what we're here to do. We're not telling you to tear down your house.
Yeah.
I wanna make that very clear, we're not moving retroactively.
you need to move your house 6 feet over.
Yeah.
That might be a job.
It's easy, just swap the house and the septic field.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Winter next week, we'll have an earthquake.
So, you know, obviously contractors are on a, you know, they wanna move along.
Yep.
They don't want their site down. Is there, you know, with that mindset, are they pretty compliant? Y'all are able to mesh with their schedule and get there right on time at each of those
They
steps?
can't start till we say they can, if they have to
Okay.
come before us.
So you got-
Technically, they have to give us 48 hours notice.
Right.
Okay. That's good, okay.
Okay, so may I ask a tree question?
Feel free.
We have a dead tree that's at the road, and when they came through, the electric company came through to trim some branches, they took like 1 or 2 off, but if that tree goes down, it's gonna wipe out a bunch of wires. We've called them and we've called the city, and like, nobody just can decide who owns the tree.
I can tell you right now that town owns the tree.
Yeah.
Okay,
Based on what you just said, it's within a,
In the right of way.
yeah, exactly. So a roadway surface is one part of the greater right of way, which is the amount of property the town has direct ownership of or access to. And in fact, if you look right here, there is, the right of way is mapped between these two orange
Yeah,
lines, and
yeah.
notice how it's wider than the
Right,
road.
right.
If it's in the right of way, if it's right adjacent to the road, it is a town tree, that is not a question, which means it's up to DPW to take care of
Yeah,
it.
'cause Joe's the tree warden, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
Joe is the
Joe's
tree
tree
warden.
Joe is the tree warden.
Yep.
Yeah, they would have, you
so
could.
do they decide how dead it is before they remove it? Is that what it is?
At the end of the day, they do make that decision, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Because in fact, you're not allowed to.
Right,
Okay.
we knew that, that's
We
why
knew
we
that.
didn't have it
Yeah,
taken
we
down.
didn't have it
Yeah.
taken down because we knew that was.
Also depends on
But
the
it's-
diameters,
Oh, it's pretty big.
so.
Yeah, that, I
There's a
think
lot
I know
of
what
old
tree you're
trees.
talking about.
There's a lot of old trees there, so.
Mhm.
If it's shade tree.
It
Not
doesn't.
anymore.
Not without any
Dead. It
leaves.
has no, it has no leaves.
We're
I
not getting
know.
into
If it
shade
wasn't
trees.
dead, I wouldn't-
Gosh,
I
no.
wouldn't be,
PTSD.
asked.
Okay?
Okay,
So the DPW has to take care of it.
okay,
Yeah, we called.
And if you don't get anywhere with him, call the Board of Selectmen.
okay.
Ask for Skip.
No. No, sorry, Skip. Ask for Mitch. Mitch isn't here tonight.
That's cruel. That's cruel.
Yes, it is.
Haven't helped the guy that doesn't show up.
Anything else we can help you with? I'm sorry we can't be
But
more than that, but we
At this
understand.
juncture,
the
just so
water
you're
problems.
clear, are you gonna go to building department to do a little bit of research?
Yes.
I'd like to see the records,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's a
absolutely.
little,
Yeah,
you know, uncomfortable
If
to
you have
see
any
that.
questions too, just come back to us.
Sheets
If it's anything we
blank,
can
you
do,
know.
I mean.
They're not upstairs in the auditorium.
That's
I-
right.
I would recommend that you guys stop by in the afternoon, because that's when the administrative assistant is in, the building inspector's in and out, but Lynn will be your go-to person
Okay.
for that, so anytime after 1.
And you
Okay.
said the building commissioner that was here, that signed off on some of this stuff, is no longer here?
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
He retired.
Okay.
That Steve really got cancer.
Yeah. He got a bad cancer and, yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, he would still be here.
Oh, okay.
Yes, nothing this related. That's why he's gone.
And
And-
the current building inspector is familiar with the situation, because I've been communicating with him back and forth on this, so both he and Lynn are in the loop. So
Okay.
they're not gonna be totally like, what are you talking about?
Are these
You
their
know?
files?
Those are theirs.
Okay, then I'm
Yeah.
gonna hand these back to you right now, so
Yes, don't give him to Peter.
don't give them. They'll end up shredded, burned, defiled.
Defiled. Oh God. Stop.
Bent, folded, and mutilated.
All right. I think we.
Anything else on 101, 103, 105 Glenwood? Thank you very much for coming in. You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
And if you have questions, you know,
No,
Tamika's
you've
here.
been great, thank you.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you're welcome to email me if anything comes up.
Okay.
My
Ask
email
the-
is right
just
on
ask the
my
boss.
conservation.
Just ask the boss.
That's right.
She's on every board and committee, just
Yeah.
a note.
She can get you where you need to go.
All right,
Thank
time
you.
administrator.
That's right.
Without the paycheck.
Talk about a
Thank you,
loss
thank
to
you
the
for your
town.
dedication.
Yes.
Your dedication living under. Sorry.
Oh, that hurt. And yes, it's too soon.
Yes.
All right, moving on. AgCom rep for the Open Space and Recreation Committee. I have heard from the chair and secretary of the Agricultural Commission. They say that they have nominated Dick Williams to the Open Space and the Open Space Committee. It's not the Open Space and Recreation Committee. It's the Open Space Committee that is the Open Space and Recreation Plan.
That makes sense. I was close.
It's only 7 boards.
Again, underpaid. She deserves a mistake.
So I would like, please, a motion to, he's been nominated to seat Mr. Williams on the Open Space Committee.
I'll make a motion.
To appoint. Did I hear motion?
Motion.
Do I hear second?
Second.
Roll call.
You really want this?
Stokel, aye.
He's already been in meetings.
He's been
sworn
showing up.
something and he wasn't even appointed.
I gave him the last chance. I was trying to be nice.
No, he's
Anybody
in
have a
it.
Bible?
and I.
Gentilucci, aye.
Dan's eye.
Clock eye.
Great eye.
Thank you.
No, thank
for
you.
volunteering.
Please email town clerk so that they place him on the website of Rutland, which they should probably have already done, but just to be sure.
It doesn't have his name.
And since we've just told the chair about it, I don't think we need to notify the chair
Thanks.
in writing.
No, because I think it was our letter to them that prompted this to
Yeah.
happen in the first place, so they know.
Alrighty. Enforcement order 165 Cannon Road, Holden, which is, I don't know what the hell the number is.
And would you get done? Do you have a badge? Did you get yelled at him?
I haven't, well, the chief of police has been on vacation. He's
Yeah.
just back, so.
No, he's not back yet. Tonight.
He's back tonight?
Tonight. Sorry.
Slacker.
You're just jealous.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Guess where I'm going tomorrow?
Well, he hasn't been in the office.
I don't want to hear it, mister.
I'm going tomorrow. 4 o'clock in the morning. Goodbye.
Will you be back for the next meeting?
Yes.
Well, then what do I care? Send me photos.
We're getting a little testy tonight.
Okay, it's well after 7:30.
It's a new month.
Are we getting hangry?
I checked the mail today, no green card received.
No!
No, shocking. And I have not heard from Wendy in a long
Okay.
time.
In the next couple of days, I will, well, first I'll let Nick catch up on everything that's happened since he's been out, and then I'll go and visit him again to ask that
And
we,
if not, just go around and go to town council?
yeah.
I mean, we can talk about it next meeting, but.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd do that right away.
I would go around. I would go
I'll talk
around.
to DEP.
but
I wouldn't go
I might talk to DEP,
No.
get an opinion
Useless.
from
I
them.
mean,
Well, we can
Judy's
try that, but
pretty good about that.
DEP doesn't have authority to do it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I sent
Oh, no,
you,
I'm sorry,
the
DEP.
email,
Wrong three-letter
and I sent you
abbreviation.
in the mail.
DEP does.
DEP sure does, yeah. Okay.
Judy's usually pretty good. She'll stop on her way into work and take, as close a look as she can.
Mhm.
And if she has any suspicion at all, she'll shoot it up the ladder.
She is the ladder. She's the section chief now.
Oh, yeah, she's got promoted. That's
Wait, you
right.
got promoted?
Judy.
Yeah.
Judy got promoted?
She's the Central Region section chief.
can't say that 3 times fast.
Holy.
I know. Judy
Not bad for a
Schmidt
former conservation
is
commissioner.
the yeah. So she is the flagpole.
Yeah, she was a conservation up in Barre.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Then I'll have one more conversation with the chief in a couple of days, and if that doesn't pan out really quickly, I'll involve DEP.
Yeah, just see what they say. I mean, I think we ought to give them
I did send them a
an
copy.
opportunity, you know, before we, you know, kick
Before we
the bee's
barge.
nest,
Yeah.
you know, too hard. At some point, if we kick it too hard, everything goes south on us, DEP's gonna end up involved anyway.
Yeah, true.
Probably better to give them a heads up.
It might be worth it to send an email to Kim Roth asking kind of what her recommendation for next steps would be if she has any.
Yeah, that's the circuit rider, that makes a lot of
Yep.
sense.
Should I send it to Denise too, or just him?
Denise is gone. That's Judy. It's Judy now. So
I
you can
sent it to her attention. Do you think they'll still,
Yeah, I'll
they'll
find
send
it.
it?
Yeah.
What's Judy's last name?
Schmidt.
Schmidt, okay, so that's who I should be sending it to.
Schmidt, spelled like Schmidt
Yeah.
Equipment.
They used to send them to attention to Denise Child, so
You can just put central
it doesn't
wetlands.
matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's Denise go? Does she move DEP?
I think so.
Where did Denise Child go?
She
I
doesn't
don't
know. Listen.
I don't know.
I'm sorry,
her
we
husband's-
don't have enough conversations
Her
going
husband's
on
way
here
up
at
the ladder
once.
in DCR.
Yeah. I don't know if she just went to a different
Different department? maybe?
different department.
Could be.
I don't know. I can find out.
Okay, so we'll continue that one along. Oh, it's time for everybody's favorite. Wetland and bylaws and regulations. Ooh-wee. Don't throw things.
I was gonna leave.
It's a little spicy for that tonight.
I still have to pack.
I think I left my hose on. I gotta go.
Not that one. This one. And that one. Which is actually zoomed okay. So for those who are unfamiliar, we are discussing new bylaws and regulations for the town as regards to Conservation Commission, specifically wetlands enforcement also, and then some other duties that we're talking about for the Conservation Commission. So we are right now at a high level just deciding the kinds of what things we want in our bylaw. And when last we left, we were discussing ever so briefly climate resiliency and what that would mean. Well, we know what climate resiliency is.
I was totally supposed to bring that up. My bad.
And in fact, should I just go to pull up Arlington's?
That's what I'm doing. Yes, I would.
I was going to say, care to share. Would you like to share your screen?
Oh, bro.
No, you want
Worst
me?
thing in the world.
You do. You do it. Fine, you do it.
Wow.
Somebody
Wow.
created it.
She did it. She wants to watch me fall and hit my head.
What?
I got the chair.
No, I got the chair. Can you see this?
Well,
It's on
I'm
page.
looking to see if there's an adjustment.
I don't think there is.
There isn't. We've
There's
tried.
not.
If there's a what? I'm sorry?
Adjustment to the
Adjustment to the
chair.
chair.
so
No,
you don't fall
I'm
forward.
actually, I have an idea. I'm gonna bring in a ton of washers and put them between the seat and the
The front?
Which board did that let you do that?
People Advisory Committee.
Okay. Okay.
Is it in regulations or is it in bylaws?
It's in the
No,
regulations.
you end up sitting like this.
God,
Yeah,
what did
hurts
you
my
even
back.
search?
Town of Arlington, Mass
Yeah.
bylaws.
But you should do wetlands bylaw.
Oh,
Bring you right to it. Arlington MA wetland bylaw. Yep. And then it's page 43. You can even click on it, it'll bring you right there. You go down to section 31. Yeah.
Nice.
Fancy. Okay.
so the advice of climate change can adversely affect each resource area's ability to provide and promote the resource area values protected by the bylaw. Oh my God, definitions of adaptation, alter, never mind.
Did you write this, Peter?
No, no, I would never write something that.
Does it come with the optional crystal ball so you can see what's gonna happen?
Resource areas are critical to build communities.
You have to pay extra for that, Joe.
And when does the town ever have money for a crystal ball?
Never.
Is it practicable and applicable as determined solely by the commission, integrate considerations of adaptation planning into project to promote climate change resilience so as to protect and promote resource area values into the future. These are especially important lines subject to flooding,
And then
riverfront,
the next page is
etc.
probably the best. It's just 4 little key things.
Described considerations to limit storm and flood damage during extended periods.
Well, wouldn't that come under your stormwater regulations?
Mm-hmm.
1 and 2?
Part of it.
Part of it, yeah.
But if Concom is also gonna have stormwater responsibilities,
Then it's all on us.
But not everything triggers it, though.
True.
Stormwater.
Yep,
Right,
true.
Right.
Is there a certain amount of rain that triggers it, or?
No, it's so a stormwater permit is typically the amount of disturbance you're doing on a lot.
Just a disturbance?
Yeah.
And is there
Or
a
development.
definition as to how you quantify the amount of disturbance?
That's up to the bylaw to determine. So like
No,
sometimes
I mean, I'm
to,
not
like,
seeing anything there.
well, because this is climate resiliency, so
Mm.
yes, that would not be there.
See, I get a little leery of stuff like that because it gets very broad, and when you try to enforce it, it's gonna get kicked pretty quick. You know, it's like best practices, when you use that phrase, that's not a definitive, it's not a definition, right? Because that changes, you know, could change on a daily basis. I mean, you don't know. Somebody might have a better idea somewhere else. I mean, so you gotta be kind of, when you write a law, when you write something, that bylaw is a law. You have to keep in mind how a judge is gonna look at it and say, the definition's too broad. It could, you know, it encompasses too much for anybody to reasonably be expected to comply with it. All right, so that's why I don't like using the term best practices. All right, I've been on the receiving end of best practices and successfully defended it. All right, and ended up having the case thrown out. Not in Massachusetts, this was in Connecticut. But you have to always think about that, all right? And one of the things that, you know, the environmental folks that worked for me in the past, they just salivated over that stuff. Environmental attorneys, not wetland scientists or anything. Because that was a guaranteed, you know, dismissal when you got hit with that kind of stuff. So when we write, whatever we write, all right, we need to have a definition of exactly what we're describing.
Oh, sure.
And we need measurable, it needs to be quantifiable.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So usually-
Then you got teeth, then you got ironclad.
So there's, I think, 100%
Not
of the time,
criticizing the town of
definition
Arlington,
alteration.
I mean,
Yeah.
but-
No, I guess what, in relation to this, are you talking about in terms of vague? And for the resiliency part?
Well, I look at that as being redundant with stormwater, which we're gonna,
Well, it's separate bylaws, so something will come before us that doesn't require stormwater, or something might come before us that doesn't require wetlands. So yes, they should, you know, be relatively the same in terms of what you need to mitigate in terms of, you know, what you're using for your rainfall amounts, you know, TSS removal and things like that. But for this, it's really just asking you to protect as much of the existing vegetation and limit the amount of storm flooding or flow. So in things that might not have jurisdiction with a stormwater bylaw, you know, so we can't say you have to use the NOAA Atlas 14 rainfall amounts, or you have to infiltrate X amount, you know, it's asking you to take into consideration the long-term effects of additional storm flow and rainfall amounts, and trying to decrease your limit of work to protect the existing vegetation provided that it's worth protecting.
And also remember, these regulations require descriptions. They don't
Yes.
require more activity.
Right.
And it's focused a lot, I've seen, on like floodplain and land subject to flooding, because that's kind of where,
That's the place where it's gonna hit you.
that's where it's gonna
Right,
hit.
that's a big one.
Yeah. And that's where our storm,
These folks could have used it.
maybe, rail trail could have used it.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the rail trail.
Yeah.
What would make you think such a thing? I don't understand.
No idea.
I'm sorry, I'm poking the bear again.
I have no problem plagiarizing this.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, it's,
So-
it's
so-
something
I'm
to
just
consider.
putting that on the table, so, you know,
No,
nobody's surprised later.
Yeah.
Being a little old for crying out loud, I've seen more stuff than a lot of the people nowadays have seen. When's the last time we had a hurricane around here?
1938,
53?
38.
Well, it's been earlier than that.
We had Bob, that was what, 80?
That wasn't bad though.
80 something, yeah. So I'm saying it's been about 30 something years, almost 40 years since a hurricane has really hit here. And the worst one was 38.
Right.
And how many people, including myself, I wasn't here at that time, but close. And you wait.
Oh, with all the changes,
Yeah.
it's gonna be brutal.
It is.
So it's, yeah, it's trying to think of the future, because even our NOAA Atlas 14 rainfall amounts are already 10 years outdated, I think, or more. So it's like, and they're not even, that's not even the required rainfall amounts right now. The ones we're going off of are like 50 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
How many inches now?
TP technically for 40.
Yeah.
DEP still doesn't require NOAA Atlas 14 numbers.
Nope.
Yeah. TP40 was developed in the 70s.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
And even
Is
the
no-
ones
is
they're
NOAA 10
working
years old
on.
already? I thought it was less than that.
I think it's almost
Is
10.
it? Yeah, could be.
You guys are geeking out, I hate to tell
Oh,
you.
Sorry, sorry.
This is what I do. This is what I do for a
I know,
living.
that's why I pointed it out. Peter was lost.
Oh, time to wake up, sorry. So,
Fine.
we went and visited this specific thing to answer the question, are we interested in having provisions like this in our bylaw or regulations?
I have a tough time with it because it's crystal ball. You don't know what, I mean, it's so broad. How do you guess? I mean, it's no different than like Dick just said. You look at it, okay, when's the last time you had something? Well, what do you want to predict?
Yeah, I think like how my commission looks at it and what can be tweaked is more consistent infiltration on projects. So
But see, most of that, I think, would be maintenance, and that's the biggest problem with any of it.
Yeah.
There is no maintenance on any of it.
yeah,
I mean, from in town to the state to anything else. I mean, look at 190. They finally redid most of those, but that was after they first put it in, what, 1977?
Yeah.
I mean, 30 years is not a maintenance plan. That's a rebuild plan. You know, and that's the problem, is there's never any money or effort into maintaining.
it's 8 years old.
8 years old.
But
Yeah,
it's
you were so
using
wrong.
data up to 2011.
Right.
So it's more than
Right.
10 years
Still
old.
geeky.
I had property get almost washed away
Yeah.
because
So, I
of
mean,
a road project.
Again, I think if you're gonna do it, I would
Yeah.
put something there and you can play with it again afterwards, so you have a line.
Yep. Like in the bylaw.
Put it in, here's a pot, we might not have much in it,
In the
but
reg- yeah.
now you can add to it because it's existing.
And it's something that we, if anything, right, to your point, it's, if we are concerned, because it is a floodplain, we can pull it out of the bylaw and saying, hey, we do have jurisdiction over this.
Right.
And we'd like you to step it up a little bit.
Right, well, again, the bylaw would do nothing more than declare jurisdiction.
Correct.
It's the
Yes.
regulations
Yeah.
that
Right.
would
Yes.
set the standards that are gonna be interesting.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that leaves the
And
door.
that are much easier to change, thank you so very much.
Yes.
Like you said, if we're dealing with the floodplain, it's already in our jurisdiction. It's borderline subject to flooding.
Yeah.
So that's covered. And if we're coming up with, call it stormwater bylaw / regulations, like we can incorporate it using NOAA Atlas 14 numbers.
Yeah.
And that's very definitive. I think I'm sure for Arlington, that's important for them because of where they are.
Yes.
They probably have many more issues with floodplains than Rutland does.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
We just flood DCR land, so it's fine.
Yeah.
That's right.
They
You
have
do any work there or
organized
anything?
flooding.
Me?
Yeah.
Not me personally, but we do, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Next.
We have about 10 minutes. We'll try to get through one more. What does better inclusion of wildlife habitat mean?
It kind of goes with the climate resiliency in terms of limiting your project scope and not disturbing as much. And also, if we do like restoration aspects, going to more native pollinator plants.
Most of the state has all those great little maps.
But yeah, the biomaps.
Yep.
How about
I mean, you could-
wildlife corridors?
Wildlife corridors.
You need wildlife corridors.
Yeah.
When I was on Concom, I used to go and listen to a gentleman who was a DCR, and that's all he used to protect left and right. Protect the wildlife corridors.
Yeah.
And to me, right now, not only wildlife corridors, but I do feel that timber harvesting should be done in places, because you're not gonna believe how many deer are in there
Yeah.
loving it right now.
Right.
And so it's good. It's a good place for them to
Yeah.
eat. But corridors, don't get me started with Central Mass Regional Planning, because when I brought it up there, they was dumbfounded. What are you talking about?
They
Really?
They don't just walk through the woods where they
If
want.
you hunt, you know where the corridors are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Because yeah, and right now in the Wetlands Protection Act, like wildlife is an interest of the act, but there's not much you can really enforce on that unless they hit that threshold that requires the habitat study.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, you've got to really disturb quite a bit to get that habitat study.
Yeah,
So
what's that threshold? Do you remember?
I don't know.
I can't remember either.
I rarely
I'd
get
have to
to
look
it.
it
It's
up.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I can't remember either.
So philosophically,
Well,
how
none of the
would,
wildlife read these things anyway, so.
philosophically, how would we protect a wildlife corridor if we were to?
Well, there's different types of construction, like fencing. Probably the biggest one is fencing. We would have them raise the fence. Leave a gap
little- for
below
little
the
critters,
fence
yeah.
for the
Right.
critters to get
So they
through.
can get through. Yep.
Especially if you're bisecting a corridor.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, good example of that was some of the solar fields, we saw that. In
Right.
fact, the last one, they did raise the fence, it became a requirement.
I mean, I think, like Scott was saying, it's kind of, you know, you have that tagline and we can pull upon it if that it does become a concern. If we are on a site visit and we notice, you know, X, Y, and Z out there that wouldn't be expected, you know, whether it's a endangered plant species, whatever, then be like, well, you're, even if they're under the threshold of not requiring a habitat study, it might be that in our eyes, the amount that they are clearing for even just a single family home would do X amount of damage to the surrounding wildlife.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to pick on Cleve, but looking at how he clear cut all of Bryce Lemon,
Don't.
So that would-
Yeah, but the problem over there, they did do the corridor, and they did do the wildlife studies and habitat, they did all of that, that was all required.
Yeah.
Army Corps got involved, everybody got involved with that one.
Yeah,
The
but
one
the
that
plan
comes
he
to
built
my
is not
mind
the
is
plan
the
he gave
one,
to Army Corps.
the one that comes to my mind is the one down off Palmagussit. What's the name of that road?
Where are you?
The houses are on one side of it, it's a new road in. I'm trying to remember, I can't
Left or
remember.
right going north?
Left side going out towards 68.
Richard's Ave?
Richards Ave, yeah, it's the first one.
Which one is it?
The one right by me?
Richards Ave.
And then Brunel.
No, not Richards,
Further up, I mean, there's
Name.
Hasshorn?
Madison.
it's a name, a person's name,
Oh, yeah. Where
John-
Darren lives?
yeah.
John-
That, yeah, there's only 6 houses on it.
We are
Yeah.
Yeah.
great.
Arlene Drive?
No, not with Darren,
Oh.
not that one, before that.
I feel like I'm on a game show.
I know.
Bacon
Bingo, sir.
was involved with that, and Julian was involved with that.
You do.
Nope.
But they lost,
On the left
they
side.
lost 1,000 feet because of an endangered species on that.
Mm.
One whole side of the road didn't
East
get
side
developed
Hunter,
because
right?
of an endangered species.
Madison,
Yeah, that's
Madison.
exactly where I was going.
That's it.
Madison.
Isn't that exactly what I said 5 minutes
Hey,
ago?
I said that too, I want points.
You have to yell
You
it
gotta
loud.
say it loud enough.
Sorry.
Tamika, you're too quiet. Assert yourself.
Is it closer to?
Yell it, hold up a sign, you know.
Madison's about halfway up, maybe a little
The
more.
left side of Madison, when you go in, didn't get developed
Really?
because of endangered species.
You can go look at it.
Oh, there was court battles over
Yeah,
it.
yeah, but go look at it.
Not, yeah, I know, some of it got,
Yeah,
It's built.
it's built.
It's built. It's defended to you.
All right,
It's built.
I think,
Are we done?
Motion, let's come on, who wants to make the motion?
is
Tamika,
there
Tamika, you
any
make a motion?
other business before the commission tonight? Hearing none.
make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Third.
Roll call.
Full aye.
Langer and I.
Gentilucci, aye.
Dan's eye.
Clock eye.
Crane, aye. Thank you all so very much. We are adjourned.